says it's 9 o'clock, so we will start the meeting of the Special Rules Committee. We're here to hear two bills, House Bill 978, which I'm the author of and I will present, and House Bill 941, which I believe we have the Representative Minton authored, and we'll have him present that in just a moment. Just to review with everybody, all of our committee meetings are now being recorded. This is going out streaming live over the internet and will be archived. I've asked our committee members, should they speak, to turn on their microphones. And if anybody in the audience addresses us, please come to the podium and address the microphone, because this will be going out, again, streamed live on the internet and also archived for posterity. So you will be a TV star after today. With that, I'm Calvin Hill, Chairman of the committee. To my right is Mike Callan, who's our Vice Chairman, and to the right of him, Doug Holt, who's our Secretary. And on the far right, if I can put it that way, is our Legislative Counsel, Mr. Sewell. And on my left is Sandra Woody, who is our committee aide. And Deanna Grant, we want to welcome you. She's our intern this year and will be working with the committee. To start off, I'd like to introduce House Bill 978. This is a bill that is a direct result of a special subcommittee that was called for last year by Senate Resolution 88. That resolution requested a statue to be erected and placed on the Capitol grounds. At that time, there was another Senate resolution that had come over and requested a portrait for a famous war hero to be painted and placed inside the Capitol. When those two bills, or those two resolutions came to our committee, we looked at them and reviewed and tried to figure out if there was some sort of criteria for things like paintings and statues. And we found there really was not. There was some ancient stuff on a commission that no longer existed. There was nobody on it. So we created the subcommittee to look into this and create a format that laid out exactly what requirements would be necessary for somebody to be recognized and have that recognition placed as either a statue or a piece of art or other recognition on the Capitol grounds. And this bill is the result of that, because we felt for somebody to be recognized, no matter how much of a hero they were, for example, a war hero, if it was not significant to Georgia's history, it probably should not have a place on the Capitol grounds, because this should be something that is part of Georgia's history. That's our purpose here in the Arts Commission. So we created a Capital Arts Standard Commission that is going to have 9 members, one of which is appointed by the governor, and that'll be the chairperson, 1 member by the Senate, 1 member by the House, and 1 member each appointed by the Georgia Historical Society, the Georgia Council for Humanities, and the Georgia Council for the Arts. And then a member by the Board of Regents and the Georgia Foundation for Independent Colleges, each of whom must be proficient in the history of Georgia. So the commission is actually going to be not just people with an opinion or a political opinion of who they want to have on a statue made of, but these are people that understand art, the value of good art, and they understand the history of Georgia. With that, you have the bill in front of you if you want to read the details, but that pretty much capsulizes it. And I'm open to questions from the committee members.
What does this do? This place?
Good press here. Okay.
In this bill, is there anything that places a moratorium on artwork now being, in the meantime, until this bill comes into effect?
No, we really can't do anything until this bill comes into effect, and hopefully we'll pass it through very shortly. What it will require in the future is that in a 2-year session, the first year of a 2-year legislative session will be when a legislator, for example, might request some of the artwork through a resolution, and then it would go to this commission, and should they recommend it, then it would come back to the legislature with their recommendation and be voted on in the second year. to this date, of course, we can't do anything to the existing artwork or any existing requests. This can only be effective after the date that it goes into law. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Having read the bill, I notice you have extensive language for defining the process, and looks like to avoid any potential conflicts in the course of possible changes of the bill prior to it being signed, so that it doesn't come to the Commission until after a bill has been passed, and then any changes subsequent to it, if I understand correctly, are not valid because it's the bill as passed that is what the Commission will consider.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
If there are no more questions on this, I would like to bring it to a vote of the committee. And I would move that we give it a do pass recommendation out of here and send it to rules. All in favor? Give me a second. All in favor? Aye. Very good. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And we now have House Bill 941. Representative Benham, I believe you'll be presenting this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, appreciate you allowing me to come before you to present House Bill 941. What 941 does is to amend Article 3 of Chapter 13 of Title 45, and that is to recognize the religious heritage of America. And in this bill, we are asking that the Secretary of State to prepare these documents related to that heritage and direct the Attorney General to defend counties which display these documents. In the bill summary that was given to you, I put down there as to what problems or opportunities the bill address. I believe that this solves the problem of displaying certain documents in county courthouses, and it shows the role of religion in the constitutional history of both America and Georgia. And how does this bill address the problem? It sets up a uniform, sound, distinctive, and appropriate presentation of the study of the role of religion in the constitutional history of America and Georgia, which may be displayed in governmental buildings throughout Georgia. The documents that are listed in my bill at this time are the Mayflower Compact, the Ten Commandments, and the Declaration of Independence. And finally, what factual evidence is the bill based upon? The factual and understood histories of the U.S. and Georgia, the importance of these documents both religiously and constitutionally. As to the four goals that they have asked us to look at, does it reduce the size of government, strengthen the traditional family structure, reduce the tax burden on our citizens, increase personal responsibility? It is a resounding yes to all those except, number one, I'm not sure whether it reduces or increases the size of government, so remain neutral on that. I ask for your favorable consideration on this bill. I feel like this is a bill that will receive favorable consideration not only in other committees but also on the floor of the House. Does the committee have any questions of me?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill before us. Just one simple question. Having read this, I assume your purpose is to show the historical continuity of thought that has led from the founding of this nation, well, really from the beginning of settlement through the founding of the nation, and the role that religion played in the thinking of all of those steps as time passed, and thus to educate the public in that thinking to realize why those foundations exist and how important they are to our country.
That is correct, Representative Holt. I do want to mention that this does not require any county government to display these documents, but if they choose to do so, that this would be an appropriate display in the courthouses.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you anticipate a challenge on this if passed?
The challenge as far as constitutionality of it, I feel like that it will withstand any constitutional challenge, because we are not displaying just one document where those challenges have come in. We are displaying at least three documents that deal with the religious heritage and shows how religion played a role in the setting up of our government. They will be displayed together, not separately as in the past.
I appreciate your work on this, Representative Benton. I think this is a good bill, something we can pass, something Georgians would be in favor of. I appreciate you bringing it before us today.
Thank the committee for hearing me on this. There are several members here that co-signed on this. I didn't know whether you might want to hear from them on this or not. So I appreciate the committee hearing me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Benton. Yes, we would like to hear from each and every person if you'd come up and, for the record, identify yourself, so you'll have that on tape, and we'd love to hear from you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Representative Terry England from District 108. Please excuse my voice this morning. It seems as though the changing weather tends to change the volume and the consistency of the voice. Being the elected member representing the majority of the part of Barrow County that I come from, the Ten Commandments bill has been something on the mind of our voters at home for quite a while. We had a display there in our courthouse that was challenged by the ACLU over the past 2 years, and the settlement was finally reached. I don't think anybody can argue effectively that the Ten Commandments did not and does not contribute significantly to our Constitution and the way that our country was founded. While the Ten Commandments and Scripture are not quoted directly in any of these documents, the premise and the understanding of how to treat individuals one-on-one or in business relationships or whatever else, however we may deal with one another, those premises are laid out in the Ten Commandments and in Scripture as far as that goes. And I don't think anyone could argue effectively that that was not the intention of the Founding Fathers, was to make sure that every man, woman, and child are created equal in this great country, and that each one would be represented in a fair and equitable manner. Speaking to the constitutional challenge portion of what Representative Cowan was asking a few minutes ago, there have already been a couple of what could be considered test cases where the Ten Commandments were displayed in conjunction with other documents that the Supreme Court has more or less said that as long as they're shown together with these other documents in a historical context, then they had no problem with. So, one, do we expect a constitutional challenge? Yes, more than likely. Two, do we think we can win it? Yes, we do. And probably the guarantee that counties have that they're secure in showing these documents would be that the State Attorney General would then be directed to defend those counties instead of the counties having to take and defend themselves, much as had happened in Barrow County. We were fortunate that Ten Commandments Georgia came up and were able to ante up and pay the attorney's fees that were involved. However, the county still had to pay the other side's attorney's fees plus a punitive damage. But anyway, I appreciate your consideration. Look forward to your support and would ask your favorable consideration. Thank you. Any questions? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
I'm Representative Henson Mosley from Jessup, Georgia. Now, I wasn't born when the Mayflower Compact was written, but I was born in 1932, October the 21st. Herbert Hoover was president, soon after Franklin Roosevelt was sworn in. All of the early presidents during my lifetime used our scriptures and other documents to emphasize honesty, such as George Washington's picture on the classroom wall. I cannot tell a lie. That was teaching values. And I don't think that our people should have to forego being reminded that we should be honest, we should tell the truth, we should not covet another man's wife, we should not do various things like that. I think this is just good, honest government. And I'm wholeheartedly behind this. I'm not from Vera County, but I fully support this. I think it's a good piece of legislation, and I intend to support it. Thank you for inviting me here. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Representative Mosley. Representative Holt, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, in other words, to sort of summarize, in addition to showing the foundations upon which our government was derived intellectually, this bill also addresses the foundations of the American character.
The American character, that's correct. And of course, I'll go a little further. During my lifetime, I've seen some changes. And all the changes I see is not good. And I personally think that we need to get back to the value system and avoid some of the things that we're going through in this country. We got the greatest country in the world, but things are changing. I can see it. You can see it, can't you, Mr. Chairman? Calvin? Thank you for inviting me here. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you folks hearing that this morning. Thank you.
We appreciate your testimony. Are there any other representatives? Representative Maddox?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and other committee members. And I'm Representative Maddox, and I'm one of the co-signers of House Bill 941. And you all have heard from the author and the other gentleman, Mr. Mosley. And I am honored to be one of the co-signers of this bill. You know, our country was founded on freedom of religion, and it's one of the 10 Commandments that we talked about a while ago. And so what I would like to say is that this is something I am proud to endorse. I think we should always have the freedom to hang whatever that the county decides to put, or county or state buildings wants to put up, as long as it's not contradictory to the Constitution. So with that, I'll say thank you for allowing me to come here this morning.
Thank you very much, Representative Maddox. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address this bill? Representative Benton, if I may, I have a question or two.
I'm sorry.
I have a question or two. If you could please come back to the podium, and there's more technical questions.
Okay.
Because this bill requires the Attorney General to defend the counties, have you had an opportunity to talk to the Attorney General about a couple of things? And I realize you're not going to get a definitive legal opinion without a case, but have you had a chance to get an opinion from them as to how they would feel about suffering the cost and time to defend this if it comes to a court battle?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. What do you feel about our ability to bind the Attorney General to defending a county? What is our legal position on that? Sometimes I feel a little uncomfortable, but I don't know what the procedure is.
Mr. Chairman, it's not a question I anticipated, but my initial answer is that I believe that the state constitution provides that the Attorney General shall have certain duties and such other duties as shall be prescribed by law. This, of course, is passed by the General Assembly and become a law prescribing duties for the Attorney General. So my initial reaction is it seems certainly within the lawmaking power to make that a duty of the office.
Okay, very good.
And I will undertake, if I may, Mr. Chairman, to study the documents further and report back to you promptly if I find anything that contradicts the initial reading.
I would appreciate that. And Representative Benton, because of that question, and I like to be comfortable with everybody, would you please talk to the Attorney General's office?
Okay.
And if you'd like, I'd be glad to have an informal discussion with them. Again, I realize we're not going to get a legal opinion, but I believe we should offer them the consideration of what we're proposing here, I feel very good about this bill, but I think before we bring it to a vote, that I would like to see what their comfort level is with it. Perhaps they might suggest, for example, some other wording that would make it easier for them to defend, et cetera, because I'm sure they're familiar with this. And then after that discussion and their comfort level, then we can bring it back and have a vote on it, because I feel it's a very good bill conceptually, and I like the contents. I believe the members of the committee are in the same opinion. Our country was founded on the tenets of the Ten Commandments and the Mayflower Compact and the Declaration of Independence, and if our nation's capital can have them up in front of their Supreme Court, I certainly can't see why we can't do it in the counties. I just like that little comfort level and the courtesy of discussing with the Attorney General's office.
Okay. Is there a timetable that I need to, in other words, do I need to do it today to come back to y'all this week, or is there?
No, we'll probably not meet until the week after next, being in recess next week. So anytime between now, there's no immediate timetable. When you get that and get back with us, we'll schedule another meeting to discuss that and to take a vote on the bill.
Okay.
So it'll be up to your discretion as to when you can do that.
All right.
And as I said, I'd be more than happy if you would all desire to meet with you and the Attorney General too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other business that needs to be discussed at this meeting? Okay. With that, I thank everybody for attending. We thank you for the presentation of the bill, Representative Bennett.